It's the Marc Clarke Morning Show. Healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Delicious beverage?
Duh.
Come on.
Welcome to the Marc Clarke Morning Show. Yes, Bootsy Vegas is here this morning. What's going on, Bootsy? How you doing, bro?
Hey, I'm doing good. Happy Friday. Hey, before you get to going, I just want to say this. At some point, you're going to have to explain that picture with you in that diaper. At some point during this telecast, we're going to have a conversation about that.
Yes, sir. We are going to have a conversation. You know, I'll just say one word. Parliament. That's a little bit. I'll tell you the whole story. I'm excited. This show today, first of all, it's the weekend. So we're excited about the weekend. That's on the train. I have been rocking with since we were babies. I think God, the universe, Allah, whoever you believe in, put us together. When I went to college, I went to junior college for 2 years. I know you said, Mark, why are you screaming? I went to junior college for 2 years. Shout out to Lincoln Land Community College. Yes, I know it sounds like a theme park. Then I transferred to SIU Carbondale. Now, the first person.
Carbondale? Okay.
SIU Carbondale, baby. Southern Illinois University. What's going on at SIU? So, you know, the whole thing was I want to be a media guy. TV, radio, I want to be. So I joined up the college radio station. The first person I saw, now you got to know, y'all know her. You know Olivia Fox. So you know how fine Olivia Fox was. So imagine at 20 or 21 what Olivia Fox was looking like. I see this red-haired, shapely, talented sister that I was going to relieve. And so Bootsy, I was like, oh, yes. Now, granted, it was a college radio station. So that meant it smelled like pee. It was in a basement. It was dark and dank. But this was the beginning. This was the beginning of my radio career. And look at God. I got a chance to do it with the one and only. You know her. You love her. You can't live without her. One of the most talented people I ever met in the game. My friend, my lover. No, I'm joking. Olivia Fox is in the building, ladies and gentlemen.
That is quite
no judgment, Joan, on my end. If you
Lord, she done left the show. Olivia, what do you
Oh
do?
my
What
God.
do you think?
Introduction, Mark. Quite the introduction.
Olivia, what do you? Okay, look at you. Look at you looking quite fetching this morning. Go ahead, Fox. Let them know. Bootsy, she's letting them know. The Fox, the roster
Man. Hey, I know it's Friday, but she's looking like a screensaver right now.
Yes.
Look, an old bird can get cute when motivated.
And yes, that is her hair, and she's a red hair. Yes, she's a redhead. And so, Olivia, I was looking for a little bit of something, because again, I've been with you since we were babies, but I wanted to lift the world. If you haven't seen Olivia in a while, or you haven't seen her work with her magic, let's
Every time I hear a brother call a girl a aura. My favorite line. I hear them dead in his eyes. You know, that's why y'all gotta come to the show. I'm going on tour in November. I know I'm gonna be in Baltimore and I'm gonna be in DC, and y'all gotta come check me where you can actually hear me say that line repeatedly. And I'll definitely be saying the punch them dead in his eye part, because that's my favorite part too. That's my favorite part. Just in case, if you want to go there, I punch them dead in his eye. I mean, you feel my booty? I'm gonna punch you dead in the eye. That's just real talk, right? Right, people? That's right. Stop the violence. Stop the violence. Can we all just get along? Yeah, we just all get along.
The Olivia Fox at work, and let me tell you something. So, Olivia, this morning, and Bootsy, Bootsy, you're a radio guy too. So this morning, Olivia, I had, when you get past a certain age, you start doing stuff you probably wouldn't have done in your younger age.
Indeed.
So, Olivia, I was on Facebook at 3 or 4 in the morning. And me and Olivia, we went to college. So me and Olivia worked at the college radio station, but we also worked at the top 40 radio station, a WCIL in Carbondale, Illinois. And again, Olivia again, just magical as a talent off the rip. It wasn't people, it wasn't like she started shit. No, she came to this earth with a gift. And we were at, this CHR station, where sadly it seems like when you work at a CHR station, the black folks always just worked on the weekends, or in the whole history of WCIL. I don't know if I think the black full-time person worked overnights, right, Olivia? That was and so, it's like, and so this morning, Olivia, I crafted a message, because I think I was just looking at all the pictures and and it just ain't none of us in it. I mean, it's almost like we never existed,
Well, you know what? In defense of WCIL FM Rockin' Radio in Carbondale, Illinois, I have one picture with Stevie J that he sent me on Facebook. That's why I love, to be able to connect with folk you haven't seen in 40 years. But I have a picture with him with Bon Jovi that he sent me, and another picture of he and I on a top of a building looking down with the big WCIL FM sign. So there is proof that I was there, but like you said, we were on the weekends or we were late nights, and that's where our little black faces were.
And I crafted a message, something to that extent, Olivia. You know what I mean? I mean, and I hate to sound, I get it now. I get how our parents, you get to a certain age and you're just fed up. You just kind of like, you're like, and so I just kind of stayed. I wasn't crazy. I just said, basically, looking at this, like, so when I got fired because I was late one Saturday. I think that was the only time I was late. I got fired for being late that day. And I was so conditioned when I got my first job in Huntsville, where me and Olivia worked. I hit the program director and I was like, oh, I understand now. You're so busy. You don't have time for part-timers to be late. Then I was thinking about it now. I'm like, you know what? That's some BS, because I know some other people were late and they did not get fired. I know people who did not have the talent that we had who got featured. And when I look at the pages, even now, they're featured, and they weren't syndicated like you were. They didn't lead morning shows like you did. I never saw any of our stories make it to that page. So I think at the end of the day, you get to a point where you're just tired or bitter. Is that what it is, Olivia? But anyway.
I don't think it's bitter. I just think it's the truth. You know what I mean? Sometimes, especially nowadays, people shy away from the truth. Like, you cannot tell anything that might offend anybody. You know what I mean? So, you know, we're dealing with a problem with truth. And depending on who the messenger is how that message will be taken. So we may come off as a little rough or bitter or angry, or, you know, because, you know, we're you know, people stereotype African Americans who are outspoken as aggressive. You know what I mean? So a lot of it is stereotypes, but it's really just speaking our truth. What happened? What is
Yeah, and it's also like, I look at you, you know, Olivia Fox. There's no way in hell Olivia Fox, with the talent you have in any direction, whatever it is, give you a microphone, you're gonna fly. There's no way in hell that opportunities shouldn't have presented themselves. I remember when you had that morning show in Florida, and one of the first women to lead a morning show, that was a real, and still is a real conversation. Right. Can a woman lead a show? What are you talking about? Women, what are you talking about? Women are listen to radio more than anybody else. Why couldn't a woman be the lead for a morning show? To this day, that's a real conversation had in rooms. And it's just maddening. Because, and so you went down there and you rocked it, of course. Why wouldn't you? Yes, and did it create other opportunities? Not necessarily. Right. You know, it's like, it's just a weird space. And I think, again, as you get older and you start looking at it, all that stuff they told us, it's the rating, it's the this, it's the that. No, it's whatever they want to make, whatever story people want to make up and tell you, that's what it is. Because it don't matter. It ain't the money, it ain't the whatever. And the barbershop and everybody who analyzes it, you're wrong. At the end of the day, companies and people and bosses do what the hell they want to do. And a lot of times you don't even know the narrative. You don't know what's really going on. Most people don't know what's really going on. And you don't figure it out though until you're out of it and you're looking back. And you're like, wait a minute. You know, I was pulling my hair out about this and it wasn't about that, you know. Instead of them, and they don't just say, look, you know what, Mark, you know what, Bootsy? Yeah, we doing something different. They'll say, Bootsy, you know,
a different direction. That's
right.
Radio excuse. We're going in a different direction.
And they don't say, but a lot of times then they add on to it, Bootsy. They'll say they'll make up a reason though. It'll be like, yeah, Olivia, you know, that last book, it really did, you know, I felt like you did, you know, I mean, they give you, and I first discovered that, Olivia, when we were in Huntsville. And my boss, at the end of the day, we all made 14.5. Right. We all did. And so the boss was like, you know, everybody wanted a raise. You remember that? And he was like, you know, he said, well, tell them, like, basically tell them a lie. Because, you know, we ain't paying nobody any money. I didn't. I just told the truth. But I learned something in that, though. Some people do like to be lied to. Because I told everybody. Lied to.
A lot of people enjoy being told what they want to hear.
Yeah. Because I told everybody, I said, hey, y'all, we all make 14.5.
I remember.
We all make 14.5. If you want to make more money, you got to go somewhere else. And that was it. I was 21. I didn't know, you know, but then I saw a couple people like, you know, but Olivia, I'm sorry. It's not about my bitterness. It's about you today. And welcome. I have added also we have Dave Anderson is in the building.
Well, all right.
You know, well, Taz Daddy, as we knew him back in the day.
Well, all right.
He joins the mix, but Olivia, you know.
Olivia Fox is there to make sure these hairs was as in place as they're going to be without my barber's touch. This is an event, people. Put some respect on Olivia Fox's name.
Absolutely. Olivia, I just want to say, from a personal level, you know, we've never officially met. We've always seen each other. I've been a huge fan. And I do think one of the things that what I take from your journey and your experience is you were actually the first person that I ever heard from a female perspective lead and dominate a morning show. But also what I was fascinated about was when you came to DC, you were literally competing against history and lineage. If I had to just ask you a question, what do you think was the connection and the success? Why do you think you were so successful in the DMV? Because I remember when you guys came, nobody had ever heard of you guys at the time. What do you think the successful connection you had with the DMV was?
Well, I think when I first came to WKYS in Washington D.C., we were a local show for like 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was a combination of talking to people instead of at people,
Mm-hmm.
offering content that was unlike anything anybody had ever heard, and I think just being out in the community. I mean, I love Washington D.C. You know, it's my home, and there's no place like it. And when we were on at that particular time, it truly was the most competitive market in the country. I mean, you had all the big names: Tom Joyner, Donnie Simpson, Howard Stern. I forget the other guy that was at the rock station, but it was a very, very competitive market, and we dominated. So
Grease Man. It was Grease Man was there.
yeah, it's so much so that they decided to syndicate our show. And, you know, it started out slow where we were like in Philly and I believe, you know, maybe Detroit. And then it just kept growing and growing. But even when we became syndicated, we were able to still talk to people like we in that particular city. And it took work. I mean, I can't, you know, talk about that show without talking about the infamous talent of Russ Parr. And we worked hard to do breaks where it sounded like we were actually in that city. That it took a lot
Right.
of work. Traveling to those cities, making appearances, you know, it took a lot of work. And back in that time during radio, people actually worked. People actually sat down and created original content,
Right.
and it was important to be able to connect to people. And I think that's what made that particular syndicated show what it was, because we were able to connect with people on a personal level. So
And then the other thing that I just was really fascinated about was it literally felt like y'all literally did not care. It was like we're gonna throw all the traditional rules out of the door. Like I can remember vividly listening to you guys, and y'all was like, "Yeah, we only know it's like 100 people listening, but you know, 100 people that's listening, we're just gonna have a great time today." Like I mean, every traditional rule when you came here was thrown out of the window, and I had never heard a female almost felt like she was one of the guys and she was giving us information at the same time. I mean, was that a strategy just to be carefree, or you guys were really allowed to just do whatever you wanted? Because I always wanted to know, would a program director allow that today?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. I know on the tail end of doing local radio here in Washington, D.C., I was completely muzzled. I was completely handcuffed. I
Mhm.
was not allowed to be who I once was on the air. So no, that doesn't happen. There are a few radio personalities that are given that ability to
Mhm.
be who they are or what they want to be and play whatever they want to play. But that is far and few between. You know, you just don't see that. You don't hear that so much. The scope of radio has changed so significantly that really the personality part of radio, specifically morning shows, has been practically, you know, it's non-existent. I mean,
Oh,
you just don't hear a lot of, and you can tell. You can
mhm.
absolutely tell. I think when corporate radio took over local radio stations, we lost that. And then you also have people that weren't necessarily tied into the community or necessarily tied into the target demo that they were trying to reach, making decisions and telling people that were of the community what our people wanted, what our people liked. So, you know, when you have people that are not in it trying to tell you what your people want and what your people like, then you get what you get.
Well,
Facts.
let me say that. Let me say this as I pass it on. I just want to say that I really thoroughly enjoyed those days and were inspired by you and what Russ was doing as a DC native. And I just want to say, as from that personality perspective, I would say in 2005 I was up for a job in Arizona. I had made it to like the top three. This is right after when the Donnie Simpson thing had devolved at PGC, and they literally told me, "Bootsy, you're really great, you're intelligent, but you got just a little bit too much personality for us. And that was the first time that I had really heard somebody tell me, you're great, but you got too much personality. So I can identify with that story as well. But let me just say thank you for all the great years of radio that you provided, because you inspired a bunch of people like me to be able to feel like they could do it the way they wanted to do it. Because to this day, I have never heard a female do what you do on radio on a morning show when y'all first came here. Like, if I was to tell somebody what y'all was doing, they wouldn't even believe me. So I just wanted to definitely give you those flowers on that one.
I appreciate that. Really,
Absolutely.
thank you.
That's
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
Give her the flower. And let me tell you, Olivia was that way coming in the door. And she's just a natural personality. I mean, she is, as Taz knows, you know, in our business, you know, and you know, I think there was kind of a switch. I think there was a time when that was respected, appreciated, and kind of honored. And then it kind of got weird, like Olivia said. And I think you're right. I think the corporate influence was a big player. And then with you know, when corporations take over something, then everything changes from a standpoint of what the, you know, they're measuring. They're looking at different numbers than plugging into the community, caring, and all that kind of stuff, and having a talented morning show. So Taz, you kind of like were, you know, in another place, but you knew Olivia Fox.
Yeah, no, originally, because I was producing in Philly before Russ and Olivia replaced us. And so we would call Russ and we would be like, yo, we want to talk to Mickey Mouse. And he's like, hold on, we're going to do Mickey Mouse and Barney. And Olivia's like, oh my God, y'all want to do this right now? And so this was his thing. So like we were killing, you know, and the next thing we know, we're like, yeah, we're going to, like, we're number one. They're like, yeah, but like Russ and Olivia need Philly. And I was like, damn you, Russ and Olivia. But it worked out well. I went across the street, and when that didn't work out, who did I call? I called Russ. And Russ got me the gig in Fayetteville. So, like, I was upset for like 10 minutes. Then I went across the street, made a bag, and then called Russ, tears in my eyes, and Russ got me in Fayetteville. Like, but the thing of it is, there's no Taz, there's no Business Bully without Russ Parr and Olivia Fox, simply because the ability to see people who look like me be able to be themselves unapologetically put a battery in my back. Because, you know, people say, oh, you can't do that. I'm like, look what Russ does.
Give him the horn for that, please, Mark.
Listen,
please give him the horn.
Don't tell me it doesn't work. Don't tell me it's too much. So to me, it's like, you know, those are shoulders upon which I stand. And to act like that's not critical in a day where they only let Howard do it, when they only let Grease Man do it. Like, there were only a few people who got to be themselves, and they were very rarely, if ever, black. And them folks was unapologetically black. There's no Leslie Lamont without them. You know what I'm saying? To a certain degree, there's no Alfredus and all those other folks that came through that funnel and then took that blueprint. There's no Charlemagne without that. Because there has to be a foundation. You know, and that foundation is very, very strong, especially when it comes to morning radio, because it wasn't morning zoo. It was, oh, this is how black people talk when ain't nobody looking. You know, and that's, you know, like, you got to give this woman her flowers.
We're sitting at the kitchen table and just joning and, you know, being ourselves. And that's really what it was. It just felt like, you know, we had a barbecue and we just talking and joning on people and capping and, you know, just going back and forth and carrying on. And that's really, I think that was why people felt like they really knew us as family, because that's the way we presented the show. Plus, giving out the impertinent information that was important to our communities, but with a lot of humor, you know, with it. And, you know, the term infotainment, everybody uses that now, but that is really what we presented back in the 90s was infotainment. You know, we give you the information that you want, but we also gonna joan and cap on the backside so you can get the information, receive it, but still continue to roll on the floor and just die laughing.
100%. And just, you know, add context, you guys were going against two giants at the time. Like in DC, you guys were going against history. Like, it was history, and the only way it would have worked was for y'all to be yourselves. And I've never seen, I don't want to call you guys unknown, but somebody that we did not see coming connect like that out of nowhere. And I think it's just a testament to you guys' talent, but the fact that you guys were able to present it that way, because that was the only way y'all would have won around here.
And when we did,
Oh yes,
That's the important part. ... And when we did.
Everybody.
right, right. And as I fall back, people start adjusting their morning shows after they came. I'm not gonna say no names, but I just know that more black morning shows around here start getting a little bit more edgier. People were getting a little bit more expressive. People were pushing the boundaries a little bit more, and it was no longer the traditional black radio. So that's another piece of credit and like flowers you guys should get, because y'all freed other people who were constrained to be free a little bit more after that.
Yeah, the thing about talent and you know, really just stepping outside the box, it pushes others to step their game up. And I think that's really what's missing in Black radio today, not just because I'm not in it, but it seems that everybody has just got comfortable with doing the basics. And, you know, I think in order for folk to step their game up, there has to be somebody that is going to take it to the next level. And I think, again, a lot of that has to do with corporations stepping in into commercial radio and basically dictating what, you know, our people want, or what's, you know, profitable in terms of sales and marketing. And so, you know, what you hear is what it is.
Facts. The other part of that is, and I'm going to listen, audience, hi. Marc Clarke, Bootsy Vegas, and Olivia Fox are not going to say what I'm about to say, but they're thinking it. White people don't have a clue as to what it is to be black. And them trying to tell us what it is that we want and how we want it is problematic at best and systematically oppressive at worst. And then to do it in the name of ratings, which is why you have salespeople falling off every 5 minutes, which is why you have talent being so interchangeably distributed, because there's nothing unique about any of it. They have homogenized in McDonald's eyes the industry. And then on top of that, you have a bunch of people who are given these VP titles who just sat up there and said, yes, the Boston tap dance better than everybody else. And they decided to make them VP so that they can be program directors over clusters of stations in different regions, so that they can go on and act like they're doing something. They have one live person, and everybody else they have in what they're calling syndication now sucks. And I'm not talking about syndication. I'm talking about this simulcasting that they're doing, that they're passing off as syndication. Then they will take people from the outside who did not have to get an FCC license, who did not have to work, who never interned, do not know what it is to fast forward a cart or have cuts from splicing reel to reels.
Oh, baby.
Come in and then tell and then tell them, you know, you could do whatever you want. You're a star. So they'll give them the billboards and the bus specs and the media buys and the time buys, and they will give them what they should have given the local personalities in the first effing place. So they're too nice to say it, but that's exactly why your radio sucks. And then in this age of, you've got podcasts, you've got YouTube stars, you've got on-demand audio, like you're competing in a sea of talent that is not being regulated. And you wonder why radio sucks? Come on, man.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but you know.
Well, ditto what he said.
How many times I hear from people, why aren't you on the radio? And you're right there in Washington, D.C. I mean, there's a station, I believe, I was told, that was looking for a morning show. And you know, I have no explanation. There's nothing that I can say. It's not like, you know, you don't have the experience. You know, I've done my own show. I've been part of one of the most award-winning syndicated shows. I have no answers. But then, you know, when you see folks getting hired, you hear them on the radio, it's like,
how? No.
Why?
You know what? I think to be honest, I think what you offer, Olivia, I think we kind of, it's almost like, because of what it is now, that it's important that Olivia Fox is on her own platform anyway. You know, we're at the point now where we've outgrown what it is. And that's the saddest part, is it could still be special, but it's not, you know, and I think we've outgrown what it is now. And so now, as Taz or Dave would tell us, we have to get paid for on our own platform. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's why, Olivia, we've been having this conversation forever, but because, you know, and even like at this point, going back, like, you know, imagine, Olivia, you can't even imagine it, like going back to some, like you said, a program director who doesn't know what he's doing, telling you what to do. It just doesn't make any sense. And then not allowing you to be yourself. It's almost like, why sign up for that? You know? But Olivia, I wanted to talk about, in addition to the media star, Olivia Fox, and the super talent, Olivia, you have been an amazing mom. You are an amazing mom. And, you know, I wanted to spend some time on that from a standpoint of, you know, you've weathered all these storms, and right now your baby is you know, tell us about that. Tell us about your baby, how great she's doing, and tell us about some of those challenges, because I think people, they know you on the radio, but they may not know, you know, some of the things that you've been doing and dedicating your life to make sure your baby's right.
Well, I think, you know, it's a story that a lot of people know, not, you know, just females, but males too, who are single parents. But I think my situation was extremely challenging for me because I grew up with two parents. I was fortunate enough to have my father in my life for over 40 years. So, you know, when you're in a situation where you are raised a certain way, and then you're catapulted into another situation that is not familiar to you, being a single parent, it was a real challenge and difficult. And then you throw on top of having a chronic illness and damn near dying at least 5 times that I can think of, and trying to keep that front for a little person to, you know, understand and know that, you know, they're not going to be left alone, and trying to keep her mental health in the forefront. So it was difficult. I can't even front. And, you know, I am hopefully being able to put together a book that talks about, you know, the challenges and things that single parents deal with from different aspects of, you know, dealing with chronic illness, and, you know, dealing with people that are suffering from mental illness, and how to, you know, maneuver in that, you know. But, you know, long story short, my daughter is doing fantastic. Okay, she is Sharon. She's in school in New York City, but that process alone, oh my God, we could talk about it all day. And Mark, I know you know about this, but it's just so important for our people to understand the whole game when it comes to getting your child into college. The whole process, it is a game. It's a game. And I don't think, you know, that I can really come to mind anyone that is really sitting down and talking to our community about the whole game of getting, you know, higher education. It's a game. And if you don't know the rules, you will be on the outside looking in, or your child will end up on, you know, over $100,000 trying to get a college degree, and then what that means after you get to that point. So it's just a lot of things, a lot of different pieces that are involved with bringing up children. And I hope to be able to share some of those things that I had to deal with and overcome, and end up, you know, being successful by the grace of God, and hopefully contributing a young person who will make a difference in this world for other people. And that, to me, that's the most important thing, to be able to pass your legacy of knowledge, and just wanting to contribute to humankind. You know, that is important to me, especially at this point. Mark, we've talked about, you know, the legacy that will lead. You get to a certain point in your life where, you know, you're chasing the bag, and you want to, you know, be everywhere and do everything. And I'm at this party and All-Star and Super Bowl and this sport and make money and impress here and blah, 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 blah. And then when you get past that part where you done bought everything you want and you done gone everywhere you want to go, you start thinking about, well, you know, now what? What's up now? So, you know, a lot of folks are able to get to that point where it doesn't so much become about yourself, but it becomes about a legacy and impact in the lives of others. And really, that's where I'm at right now.
And so Olivia, so funny. We've known each other the whole time, from the beginning of a career, and like you said, now to the kids and the handoff to the college thing. I had to laugh because Dave comes in town to drop off the money at Howard, and I laughed, Dave, because Allison's parents, when she went to Hampton, they did the same thing. They would come and they pay cash,
dropped off the bag,
and drop off the bag every time, and it's just funny, like you said, that person. Olivia and Dave and Bootsy versus the person when you're 20 something, when you never thought you'd be that person. It's very interesting. And then also you dealing with the parents, when the parents, some of us have lost our parents, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just that cycle of life thing is a trip because, again, we never thought that we'd get to this point. But Olivia, what's something, and I think you could have been a comedian, you could have been an actress, you could have been this, you could have been that, and we pick radio, right? Looking back, would you have picked something different? What would you have done differently? If anything, when it comes to your career choice.
The number one thing is not reacting on emotion. I think that was one of the biggest challenges for me and my career, and I'm humble enough to say it. And I try to give that information to my daughter as well. I know when Mark, when I was young, I ain't GAF, okay? Because I'm from
Where you from, Olivia?
St. Louis, home.
She's from the Show Me State, baby.
Home of women carrying razor blades on the side of their cheek, you know what I'm saying? My daddy had a gold tooth,
Sounds dangerous over there. Okay,
it's real.
So, and people who are from St. Louis know exactly what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? But and being the youngest of four, I have three older brothers, and just the history of the legacy of my family and my father and my mom, and it's just a lot of different components that made me the way I am, which everybody is. A lot of people are as they are based on their experiences and the way they are raised. So I think that if I had to do all over again, one, I would have stayed in athletic medicine, which was my original choice of degree in college. I think I would have done that. But I also really would have wish I had learned to not react on emotion. And I think a lot of people still to this day get caught up, especially when, the internet, a lot of people just go in, they read something and, oh, no, that's not it. And because they're reacting on emotion. A lot of people, don't listen to understand, but they listen to respond. So, I think if there's a lesson to be learned through my experiences, that is the biggest one, to not react on emotion.
Oh, that would have been so helpful in '98.
You react on emotion, the way you really wanted to relay the message is tainted because you are emotional and sometimes irrational. So that's the biggest lesson for me. And I guess the second one would be making better choices in men.
Well, I was there for many of the choices, Olivia Fox.
But
you know what? You should have had me pick the guy. I should have, you should let me pick.
You know what? The thing about it is, and like you said, as you get older, you start seeing patterns. And I
wait a minute, Olivia. You mean patterns?
Patterns. When you go to choose a mate, a lot of times you're like, why am I ending up with the same person over and over? And I know this is across the board, men, women, any kind of race. Sometimes you end up picking the same person over and over, just in a different, body. And you don't see it when you're going through it. But when you look back on it, you're like, damn, what was I thinking? It's the same dude over and over and over. And so, I think, if I had made better choices, yeah. But then again, I wouldn't have what I have, which is
here we go.
My daughter. So you can't fault yourself for the decisions you make, because God has a plan for us all. And if I had made the choices that I made, I wouldn't have the love of my life. So, you live and you learn.
Olivia, Danny says that's Tamika Tanika Shauna Brown. What would she say?
Tawana Malika Tawana Brown.
What would she say about Olivia Fox?
Oh, she logged off. She don't even want to talk.
She's out.
Oh my God.
It's so fun. Olivia was also. Oh Lord.
Oh, okay.
What would she say about Olivia Fox?
Oh, Tawana Malika Tawana Brown.
Yes.
Olivia, no girl, you doing too much. That's what you would say.
You know, Olivia, and that was one of the things you did characters. I mean,
Man.
you did characters. You were plugged into the community. You know, you're smart. You were fine and sexy. I mean, it's interesting. You brought a lot to, again, that, you know, the syndicated show. And then Olivia, when you did your own thing, how was that experience? You left Russ and then you had your own thing. Yeah, tell us about that.
I had just had my daughter in 2003. I was sitting around. My severance money was running low. You know what I mean? Because I was still in contract when I left the syndicated show. So I still had a year and a half on my contract, which they had to pay, which was lovely. So I was kind of like, you know, now what? And I was sitting, I'll never forget, I was sitting and I got a direct message from Jeff Capucci. What's up, Jeff? Big time, higher up management in Clear Channel Radio. Yep. And he hit me up and said, you know, they were putting on a new station in Tampa, Florida. And, you know, would I be interested in, you know, coming down for an interview? And I did. And, but the funny story is, Mark, didn't they call you as well?
Yes. You know what? I forgot. It's been so long, I forgot.
But it's funny because, and I made a whole lot of money in Tampa. I will say that. But it's funny, you know, when you look back on it, that they offered you so much more money than they did me, which is, you know, and I think about now with the Me Too movement and equal work for equal pay, and that just wasn't the case back then. And that even happened when I was on the syndicated show. I mean,
oh yeah,
my partner was making 3, maybe 4 times as much money as I was. And really, that's what it really came down to, you know, during negotiations was I wasn't asking for a crazy amount of money, but I was asking for, you know, what was fair and comparable to him. And they just, you know, snatched the offer and blew me out. So anyway, went down to Tampa and just ripped it, just killed it. And we were very successful, but the problem was their top morning show on the sister station was feeling some kind of way because we were starting to kind of eat up into their ratings. And unfortunately, we weren't the focus. It was kind of like, let's bring them in and maybe they can take some of the ratings from the other station. I forget the name of it, but the other morning show. But we want you to perform, but we don't want you to get too good where you start outperforming our moneymaker. And that's what was starting to happen. And so they decided to bring in Steve Harvey, and they blew us all out, just like that.
And like what you saying, that corporate, the beginning of the end when they started syndicating urban stations, and the part that's so sad about it is, as Dave mentioned earlier, for whatever reason, Black PDs and Black-owned stations always were just so fascinated with white consultants. It was like, so why are you so fascinated with white consultants? I said what I always would say was, here would be my test: have a pot of greens and a ham hock in it, and you open up the so you're white consultant. You go in a white consultant and you open up the pot. And you ask him, what is that? If he don't know what that pig foot is doing down there, if he don't know,
he can't run the station.
Nope, sorry, sir. Because you know why? Because that's Black folks.
That's a great analogy.
That's Black radio. That's Black radio, and that's why Black radio. Don't ever play a gospel and blues, because somebody gonna tell you ain't nobody want to hear gospel and blues. But if you play one blues record or one gospel record, your phones are gonna light up for the next half hour because people think you're starting to play what they want to hear. Right?
Well,
Because
And we can't have that, and we cannot have that.
No, God forbid you get the people what they want.
You can't do that, man.
Trying to play a James Brown. Now, this is a station that's geared urban AC 35 to dead. You know what I mean? I'm not even talking about 2554. And a consultant, why would we play James Brown? What? Why would you? The most sampled artist in the history of music.
You already playing them. You playing them every day without even knowing you playing.
But why would we play James Brown?
Yeah.
On a heavily 35 to dead urban AC?
35 to dead.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, and the thing, I'm glad you mentioned that with the consultants, white consultants working at Black radio. I can only think of one person, Sonny Joe White, who was a black man who consulted white radio. You don't see that. And the same thing goes for talent. It's very, very seldom that you see a black talent working at a white, and I hate to say white, I'll say contemporary hits station.
Right.
They call us black. They call us black radio. I mean,
because I was the only Negro in Austin.
They will throw a white boy on a black station in a minute.
Man,
and he will be loved
because it's cutting edge.
Yes, yes, and a lot of that, sadly, is us too. Because I remember, I'm not naming any names, but because what I realized, a lot of it's power too. Like some of us have power trips. I remember working in St. Louis, and when the 35 to dead station merged with the 18 to 34, we had Jockenstein and different jocks who grew up with Olivia who are there. And that generation of DJs, they know Barry White. They know Frankie Beverly. They could pick up the phone and get anybody on the phone.
Anybody.
And I remember the program director was like, nah, don't. Why wouldn't you have him talk to Barry White? Why wouldn't you have him talk to Control, right? And that's the other part that, again, Dave, until you get out of it, you look back, you go, oh, it's Control. Oh, it's Control. But the crazy part is, when they have Mr. Hip Hop on the radio, who knows the artists, the white PD love that, because now he ends up being cool because he can associate with Mr. Hip Hop and then get credit for having a relationship with those people he knows. So it was a very interesting dynamic. I saw that in Baltimore. I was like, wait a minute. So the PD brings in a white mixer who knows all these famous people. Because why? Because that gives him, gives him some more juice in a sense. So you're like, wow. Again, we didn't know that game was. I didn't know that game was going on. We were just connecting on a real level, with our audience, with our people. That's how we move. We didn't see what was really going on. And you know what? To be honest, I think at the end of the day, I wouldn't have changed anything because I like who I am. I like who you are. I like who. You know what I'm saying? I think because we're authentic, and I think you can never go wrong being authentic. You may not get a job, but you can't.
But guess what?
You can't go wrong.
Mark, guess what? I don't know if you know this, guys. So just real quick, I'm okay. Listen, I retired at 34 years of age. I'm 44 now. I'm good. Like, I'm really good. Like, I want to buy Radio 1 good. So, like, at the end of the day, what you should have done is just given me the $70, $80, $100,000 I wanted, because now I'm going to buy you out. And that's the game, right? Because the road you take to avoid this ass whipping is the road that's going to give you this ass whipping. The other part of that is they all love. All of these companies, whether they're black owned or white owned, they love white consultants. I had a white consultant once tell me, well, the show's in syndication now. You've done a great job, but we need more star power. I said, yo, weren't you in DC for like 20 years? Yeah. So don't you have a Rolodex? Yeah.
I know.
So you're telling me at 28 years old, who put a show in the syndication that nobody believed it, that you have a list of individuals that you could pick up the phone and say, hey, my brand new morning show is getting into 15, 20 markets. I need you to give me this person, that person, this person, that person, because they're launching in, let's say, Baltimore. Well, yeah, I could. So basically what you're telling me is you want the kid to fail, even though you, who was supposed to be above, should be helping the kid. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, my lawyer is loving this, by the way. And I had everybody in there, including the owner of the company, and it was quiet. And that's the thing. You continue to groom people who don't want to rock the boat and call out and question these individuals who put you in a situation to lose just so they can blow you out and bring in their underlings.
Yes.
Yeah, nah. I'm good. I love it over here.
Well, and you know what?
Can I just tell a really, really funny story that kind of coincides with this? And everyone that worked with me at this station that were in this meeting, it's the most infamous radio story.
Oh, get your popcorn. I like this one.
We're all sitting in a staff meeting. This will be in the book. We're all sitting in a staff, all Black radio personalities, Black PD. The white consultant comes in. And he's telling us, whatever it is that he's talking about. And they were talking about looking for new talent, looking for, a cutting edge talent. And this was the time when, who was the groupie that wrote the book? Superhead, I think is her name.
Yeah.
She was out.
Corinne Steffens.
Mm-hmm. And the guy said, we just really need some new talent. And we're thinking about bringing Superhead in and building a show around her. Now you're sitting in a staff meeting with seasoned pros. You know what I'm saying? People that have been in the game 20, 30 years. People that actually went to school for broadcasting. People that have worked in the smaller markets and done their time. I'm talking about seasoned vets. To say to a group of Black people that, they're just really looking for some new cutting edge talent, thinking about bringing in Superhead and building a show around her. I have never in my life had the closest experience of being on a plantation in all of my years of working. I mean, imagine in any other business that you bring in your top, people in whatever industry you work in, and you have someone come in and say, essentially, y'all ain't shit, and we need to put somebody in who doesn't have the experience you have, that's not even a media person, but
right.
who basically got famous for going down on her knees in front of rappers. She has a book. We're going to bring her in because none of y'all have the talent to do what I think she could do. I mean, blown. But this
no, that's
blown.
These are the type of situations that have happened over and over, and from what I understand, still happening. I mean,
I remember
really?
in Baltimore, a Black-owned company that I won't name, wanted to have us celebrate our ratings, right? So they take us on a boat ride, right? So we're on a boat, and out comes the meal: fried chicken, crab legs, fried chicken, and watermelon for dessert.
You a lie.
I thought that was an urban legend. I thought that really didn't happen. I heard about the boat ride. I never wanted to believe it.
Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus. Who? What consultant?
You know what consultant.
Mm-hmm.
And then to add injury to insult, I don't know if y'all know the company, but the matriarch of the company.
Oh Lord, not Lady Eloise.
In front of all these white people, said to her son, "Speak up. Don't be scared in front of these people." Now, I believe at the time I think he was over her. You know what I mean? I think he was in charge of the company.
Mm-hmm.
But she told him not to be scared of these white people.
Mm-hmm.
So you can imagine and the watermelon and all this. It was a crazy scene. It was a crazy scene.
Bruh.
But what? So, hey, the good news is we survived. And like Dave said, Olivia is finishing this damn book, which is going to be a bestseller. I already know that. I saw Paul. Shout out to Paul and Lazy Lamont. They were on. They were in. They didn't come on. They could have come on, but they were making comments. But I know, Olivia, your book is going to be just like Paul, giving us some insight, sharing your amazing story. And I just think, again, your show, your platform, where I know it's coming. I know it's coming in 2022.
You think so?
Oh, it is. And I just want to, and again, as somebody who's always loved you and admired you, I just wanted to get on as we celebrate this weekend and just celebrate you. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you have been an amazing friend, co-worker, and again, I just want to give you just a little bit of light and let you know that, Olivia, whatever you want to do, I got some things coming up that I have you in mind, but anything you want to do, always, we got you.
I'm right.
Then Dave was right there. Yes, Bootsy.
I just want to ask one question, and I would love to, from you guys being all super experienced or whatever, what do you think the future of Black radio is in the next 10 years? If you had to make a prediction, because I guess I'm an optimist, glass half full. I do think with the invention of podcasts, the fact that there are so many new media platforms or whatever, what do you think the future of Black radio is? If you had to predict in the next 10 years, what do you think Black radio will be at?
Anybody want to take that?
Wow.
I know what Dave's going to say. Go ahead, Dave.
Because crickets?
No, it's not even that it's crickets. You have to understand what we had, we did not appreciate because we thought that it would just continue and get better. That's right. True. And what happened was, like Stevie Wonder said, they took us riding on a rocket and gave us about a half a mile from heaven. They yanked us all out for syndication, homogenization, and deregulation. So what winds up happening is, until such time as I can buy a major radio corporation and people like me who have done okay out here, I got a couple of dry cleaners. That's all. I'm moving on up.
George Jefferson.
What happened? Exactly. You caught the reference. What's going to happen is the same thing that continues to happen until you snatch this from corporate hands, right? And until you stop the process of stigmatizing things that are on the internet as if we're going backwards. Nobody has a rotary phone in their house. Like, until we get ourselves to a point where we realize we don't need white adjacency. We need Black excellence, and all excellence is Black. Everything else is just, a carbon copy of it. There is no such thing as Black radio. Matter of fact, if you do anything about the industry in and of itself, not Bootsy, but everybody, the term urban came about because white salespeople had a hard time selling the word Black radio.
Wow.
And then once white consumers and white business owners heard that the term urban meant Black, then they went to rhythmic. So you got to understand that everybody wants Blackness. They just don't want it from Black people. So that's why a white boy can come on to a radio station, stay in the South for 15 years, yelling and screaming like a banshee, and they applaud him. It's why white consultants can make a crap ton of money with Black stations, and Black program directors, assistant program directors, and staff are sitting around begging for $30,000 a year when they make $30,000 a show in revenue. But tell me about Black radio. I'll wait.
Well, Lazy Lamont is on the line. Kevin has said, what happened to Lazy Lamont? Lamont said nothing. He's right here.
Hashtag, where are they now? Lamont is a beast, y'all.
And yeah, I think like Dave said, I think at the end of the day, what we've kind of, what we figure out or learn now is I think whatever, what they call Black radio, sadly, like Dave said, we had a thing and we didn't value it, but that's just not in Black radio. That's us as a culture, but that's not by accident. That's not by accident. There's a whole system that makes us, and I think you get to a certain age and you finally figure it out, and most of the time you're out of it. But the good news is with the platforms that are out here now, is an opportunity for you to build your own, make your own, sell your own, and then of course the metaverse. That's a whole new space that you can go in and do everything in. So the good news is we've learned, and yes, the future is upon us. So Olivia, how can we help you? How can we reach you? And how can we help you? People are watching, they're excited, they see your beautiful face, you're looking amazing. How can we reach Olivia Fox, and what do we need to do to help Olivia Fox?
Ooh,
What do you need?
That's a lot. Honestly, I don't need anything. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing. Again, as you get older, you start understanding need and want. You know what I mean? You need good health. You need family. You
Come
need
on now.
love. You need to have faith. You need to be able to move around. You need to make sure the ones that are in your life that they're good. So, as far as that goes, I don't really need anything. What I want some more money.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I want my daughter to go on and live all out her dreams. I want to get up every morning and feel good. There's no secret, and of course I'll hit upon it in the book. I suffer from serious depression, where some days it's harder than others. So when I get up and have a good day, that is I'm grateful for that. So a lot of times folks aren't doing what folks outside deem they should be doing, but they don't really know what's really going on. And Mark, we've talked about this. I hear from my friends, well, you need to, girl, why aren't you doing this? And you need to do this. And why aren't you going here? And oh my God, your name is so strong and your brand is so well known. And that's all good and great. But in order to be able to move yourself forward, you have to have that belief in self. You have to have the faith that you are able to do and be. So for me, I need to be able to believe that I am capable of doing everything that everyone thinks that I'm capable of doing. And that's not anything that anybody can give me. That's something that I have to find within myself. So in terms of need, that would be the only thing that I need for that person that, did what she did. Mark, I was on a mission. When I look back on that person, I'm like, wow, where did she go? I'm not that same person anymore. But
Somebody's calling her.
Why are they gonna call when she on the daggone show?
person, and then move forward with whatever it is that I feel like I want to do. So that's it.
Well said, Olivia Fox.
Can I say
Yeah.
something real quick?
Yes, sir.
All right. While you're trying to figure that out, and trust me, as a person that has been depressed since 1977, can you just hang on to my belief in you till your belief kicks in? Because I can help you make some money. So listen, while you're figuring that out, I feel like retail therapy can help, because there's a lot of financial dividends to be made in the name Olivia Fox. And there's so many ways to capitalize on that. But that's a whole other hour.
We got to get.
I am always down for another stream of revenue. Believe that.
Listen, I'm gonna just sit here and eat my sea moss. That's all I'm gonna do. I done put the offer out for the 5th time. I'm gonna just go ahead and have my break.
Olivia and Dave are gonna get together, because it's so funny. Is now that I'm more aware and I'm looking at brands and things like you said, Olivia, we're talking about your brand, Olivia, is so powerful. And look at you, 50 something plus, looking smashing with that beautiful red hair. I see Olivia Fox hair care products. I see skincare products. I see Olivia Fox reading her book. I see all kind of options. So Dave and Olivia, we got to make that connection. And I think 2022 is going to be an amazing year.
Don't forget me over here.
And then Bootsy, of course.
Somebody forgetting Bootsy.
And I have to say this, Mark and I go way back. I just want to say to you, my dear friend, I am so proud of you. You look amazing. I'm sure you feel amazing. You've always been a positive light for me and so many others with your beautiful family. I think you need to understand the impact that you have made on so many people's lives and the things that you're doing and the places that you're going. I just commend you, dear friend. You're so amazing and so awesome. And I am so freaking proud of you, Marc Clarke.
Well, okay, Olivia. Where's the cash app? Damn it. Let me wait a minute. Let me get somebody.
Where's the collection plate? Where's the collection plate? Where's the collection plate? Okay.
All right. Well, look.
I'm proud of you, sweetie. I really am.
Well, look, you know what? Again, I've been so blessed to have people like y'all in my life, people around. And again, we're all trying to make sure everybody gets their platform to do what they want to do. And with that, let's wrap it up, y'all. Let's get into this weekend. Olivia, thank you. Bootsy Vegas, thank you. The business bully, Dave Anderson. Have a blessed weekend, y'all. I got something popping this weekend. Put me in your prayers. Got something popping this weekend. I'll let y'all know on Monday how I turn that.
You got it. Don't even worry. It's done.
It's done? Okay, I'll claim it. All right, y'all. Be good. Take care.